No, but the best thing would be to try to boost and support the venture capital industry in France, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to work on various aspects of the environment of startups, because my great ambition, and this is a scoop, is to make France a startup nation of Europe. So we need to work on the environment, the culture, the mindset, as soon as in schools. Change the way people in France see risk-taking, see failure.
And you want to teach entrepreneurship in schools?
Well, you won't teach in entrepreneurship, but what you can teach is not to fear to pitch in front of your friends, is not to fear to take some risk and to risk failure if you can rebound afterwards. So this is a whole mindset. It's not very easy because you don't clack your fingers like that, and everybody wants to take risk and become entrepreneurs in their
but
souls.
maybe don't you think in Europe most people think it's too complicated? And it's not. I mean, it's not. It is. You get it. It is. But if you don't try, you don't get anything. And most people, like, how do you make the young people think that instead of looking for a job, they should create their own job?
Well, it's something that needs to change in the culture. I went to business school, actually, and it was a long time ago, because I'm old. But when I was back then, when I was in that business school, it's true that we were anticipating that we would be working with Ernst & Young or Arthur Andersen at that time in big companies, that you would be a salaryman in a big company, and you never thought that you would create your own company. And it's changing over the years. Now you have tuitions on entrepreneurship. It's been for the last 10 years, so it's quite new. And if you ask people, students, many of them now want to create their own business. And if you look at countries such as France, who have a problem with unemployment, well, creating your own activity is one of the solutions, obviously. So we need to work on the culture, because too many people censor themselves. They think, well, no, I'm not going to be able, or I might fail, so I won't take the risk. I prefer the security of working in a big company, CAC 40 company.
Yeah.
But things are changing, and I think you can change the mindset when you teach to young children, you know, in kindergarten or in primary schools. Well, just to experiment, to try, to fail, to try again, and that's something you can really put in the programs, or, you know, teach when children are small. And I think it's very useful. It can, like that, you can say it's something which is not very important in terms of policy making, but I'm sure it's very, very important. And to organize Falcon, I'm trying to organize a Falcon.
A conference about failure?
Exactly.
Wow.
I'm not supposed to say Falcon because I think it's a trademark. Yeah.
Careful,
it's
Fleur.
true. I know. Probably people will criticize the move, but I'm sure
that's very French of you
to
say that.
No, but I think it's very useful, because people need to see that you can take risks. You can fail once, and then you have the right to rebound, and you can have the second chance. So that's one part of the work I'm doing. The second part is to work on the financing, because obviously we have a problem with that.
So before you get to that, get ready for some questions. If we can have microphones ready, because we'll take questions from the room as well.
Sure.
Which you asked, which is great. I like the openness and the conversation. So yes, please keep going. Tell me what.
So I'm working on the financing on the French level, but also on the European level. But because I think we have some money in Europe, the European Investment Bank has a lot of money, billions of euros, and probably they should use that money to create pan-European funds or funds of funds to be able to finance companies which need 5 to 10 to 100 million euros, and these kind of amounts are not easy to find in Europe right now. It's easier if you go to the States, but in Europe it's a difficult thing.
Do you think the state should remain a minority shareholder, or do you think sometimes you need to get in control in a majority position?
Well, the policy...
Or even own it, why not?
No, the policy of the Public Investment Bank is to be a minority shareholder and really to leverage and to de-risk the investment of other companies. And I think in fast-growing companies, it's a good policy to de-risk the investments. So that's an important point. And I think the most important part is to work on the ecosystems, because if you look at what's happening in Tel Aviv, or if you look at what's happening in the Silicon Valley, my aim is not to create the Silicon Valley in France. It has absolutely no sense, because the Silicon Valley was created not, in just one day, and you don't decide that you're going to create that. It's a whole synergies, culture, history, etc. So my goal is to create the ecosystem factor, the network factor, because whenever startups are successful, and actually in America, in the States, I think 23 companies, very successful, world leaders, are less than 20 years old. In France, you don't have 20 years old
right.
great champions, world champions.